Hello everyone, so I've got a big video and review for you today. As you can see here, I've got the full, or what we believe to be the full, Lakeside collection, which is a current test collection at Bath & Body Works White Barn Candle Company test stores. I believe this is coming out in all test stores pretty much this week, and they're testing it for, I suppose, a summer release. I don't know a lot about the insides of it as far as if they're testing all of them, if some of them are a guarantee and some of them are a test, or if the entire collection is a test. I kind of doubt that. I assume that this will release in one form or another, but it's hard to say exactly what and exactly when. I'm going to try to keep the video not exactly short because there are 10 pretty much brand new scents here for us to go through together. But I'm going to try to keep it at just a couple minutes per candle so that maybe we can, it won't be a super crazy long video. And I've also got I've done a lot of sniffing through my collection here to try to compare these scents to previous scents. Not necessarily saying that if I compare one of these scents to a past scent, it's not necessarily saying that this is a repackage or reformulation of the exact same candle as before. With a few of them, it may be. But for the most part, I'm doing that so that you can get sort of a better understanding of what these smell like. I can certainly go into the notes in my impression of them, but if I can compare it and sort of give a comparison and contrast to a candle that has been out in the past, you've almost definitely smelled before, then it makes it much easier for those of you who are looking to place orders for these, or if you can't get into stores to smell them, and just to give you a better idea in general for them. So I'm going to go in an order. I have these in a specific order from my least favorite to most favorite. So you'll see in just a quick moment that order. I think you'll be able to figure it out pretty quickly. But just to give a quick run through here. So again, this is the Lakeside collection. They're calling it. It's sort of this year's answer to the Summer Boardwalk collection of last year. That Summer Boardwalk collection seems to be releasing throughout the new spring and summer collections this year. So, for instance, Suntan from last year is back as Poolside. White Sands came out. It's gone now, but it came out sort of a reworked version of that. Came out in the Around the World collection as Meet Me in Tahiti. And then, of course, Beach Cabana is just out by, straight up by itself this year in the beach collection. So it doesn't look like the Summer Boardwalk collection will be coming back. So it looks like this may be sort of the new updated lake version of Summer Boardwalk for people who take more possibly, northern lake vacations in the summer. So definitely an interesting idea. I love the thought behind it. And it's a little bit more subdued. The color's a little darker. The scents are definitely deeper. They're not beachy in any way. They definitely are more. They're certainly watery and summery, but they're not your sort of Caribbean escape kind of summer, which I think is a nice change for them, for Bath & Body Works. It almost seems like this collection could have come out now, and then the beach collections could have come out more towards the summer, but they're not always going for current season and current smells when they do the releases. So we'll give a close-up here first of them, since I know the lighting is a little off. Trying to get a focus here for you. So we've got Campfire Cookout, Wildflower Valley, Strawberry Picnic, Watermelon Lemonade, Summertime S'mores, Dockside, Mahogany Teakwood, the good old standard at this point, Lakeside, Forest Trail, and Boathouse Row. So let's start with my least favorite is Campfire Cookout. So let me pull this down off here so we can get a really good look at it. And I'm trying to get the sunlight to work for us. Here we go. That's not so bad. So Campfire Cookout. So it's actually a very pretty picture. I really love the labels on these. They're sort of the new standard that they seem to be using, which is just a square label, matte photo, a silver border, and then just a light sort of gloss on the text, the candle name, and then it just says Bath & Body Works scented candle. These are all, of course, straight up Bath & Body Works with your standard labels. So Campfire Cookout, it's like you're right on a lake. It's an evening. You've got some lanterns and some candles going. It looks like after the cookout. There's no food there, and the notes on it read, and the candle itself is a dark gray color. Notes on it read: "Gather round the smoky scent of mesquite wood chips, clove, and a crackling fire." So let's set that there. And now it is very, very smoky. We've seen smoky with some other scents they've done in the past, but this, this takes the cake for by far the smokiest. When I first smelled it, it almost reminds me a bit of an old one here. We've got Winter Night. They actually look very similar. but it's much, much more intense than Winter Night, if possible. I think it's only reminiscent of that because of the clove. The number one, by far, 80% of this candle is purely heavy, heavy mesquite. It smells like a barbecue pit, not so much a cookout. There's no sweetness to it, no savory, no herbal, literally just liquid smoke, kind of. Like a very intense mesquite barbecue powder, not like a barbecue sauce where there's like a sweetness or a hot and spicy, like it's very much truly like mesquite charcoal is what it smells like. So interesting, but I don't know that I want my home to smell like a fire pit. It kind of smells like a mesquite fire pit after you throw water on it. You know, it's not, you don't smell this and go, ooh, yeah, that's, you know, it smells like a great fire, because there's really no woods to it. So it's, I mean, you've got they say mesquite wood chips, but it's not a crackling fire. It really is just a super, super smoky mesquite. So that's my number 10 least favorite scent, absolutely by far. Then we move on to Wildflower Valley. So this is a white candle, or a cream candle, and the photo is just sort of a hillside with poppies in it, sort of through the mountains or something like that. The notes on it are a fragrant bouquet of poppies, meadowgrass, and fresh air, reminiscent of a field of wildflowers by the lake. So smelling this, it smells a little familiar to me. It's not exactly any of the florals they've had in the past that I know of. It is kind of powdery. Again, similar to another floral. I can't really put my finger on exactly what. Of this, it's definitely the floral note in this is certainly the strongest. I wouldn't call it in itself a strong floral because the candle is somewhat light overall, sort of a mid-range floral. And then I get a bit of grass in there, but it's more very much like a dried grass, which lends sort of to that powdery scent again, not like a fresh grass or any like a green grass. It's okay. I would say it's Wildflower Valley. I thought it might be a little bit more, I don't know, a little more interesting, more notes to it, kind of more fresh air. They had a candle in one of the aromatherapy home collections called Happiness that I think the notes read similar, where it wasn't poppies, but it was citrus and mint, and the photo reminded me of this, sort of the mood that they were going for with it. And that, I think, would have been great as Wildflower Valley's, some citrus, a little bit of floral, a little mint to give the freshness. I would have really liked. This one is kind of, just a floral. It's not particularly, wildflower or valley-ish. I think it wouldn't be out of place even in the White Barn Gold Lid Floral Collection. It's not anything, vastly different than what you'd find there. So, not horrible though. I'll burn it. I'll enjoy it, but it's not something I'll probably repurchase. Moving on to number 8, Strawberry Picnic. So I don't know if you thought if I was going to maybe go in direction from Dockside as my next least favorite, or next favorite, but so this is number 8, and again we're going from least favorite to most. Strawberry Picnic. So it's just sort of a bunch of strawberries with a flower in a glass of water or something on a picnic table, I suppose. White candle, the notes on it, a blend of red, ripe strawberries, wild raspberries, and sweet buttercream frosting, celebrates the very best part of a picnic by the lake. Now, I wish they would have gone for maybe like a strawberry shortcake with this. They've done some bakery scents, particularly when they had the collection, or I'm sorry, the recipe winners collection, where they did like a frosted tangerine cake, and that definitely had cakey notes to it, some whipped cream to it, and a fruit that made it really fresh and almost summery in my opinion. It came out late in the year, but it was very summery. There we go, we're finally getting some good sunlight here. And I would have liked that with this, because it would have been whipped cream and a little cake and strawberry shortcake as opposed to buttercream frosting. I don't know what picnic would have strawberries with buttercream frosting. That seems a little heavy in my opinion. But anyhow, let's sniff it. Oh, it's very light. There are berries. There's cream. It's not buttery like frosting, which in my opinion is a good thing. Let's get that focused a little bit there. It's kind of equal part berries and cream. It's not bright. It's kind of muted. I'm almost getting a little, I don't know. I actually think it may be this might be our first true repackage. And I think it may be a repackage of last summer's Boardwalk Collection Lone Test Scent, which was Saltwater Taffy. And the notes on that one were simply sweet, light, fluffy vanilla whipped cream whipped with fresh strawberries and cherries. And if I smell those side by side, it is, now it's burned, so the scent changes a little bit when you whiff it. I think it's got to be, I think it might be complete repackage of this. Maybe a tiny tweak, but I don't think so. I also compared it, I sniffed an old one from my collection, an old test scent called Berries and Cream. I actually kind of like, it's more sweet. Again, not great with berries or cream. It doesn't really seem like either of those things, but I'm going to say that this is a repackage of Saltwater Taffy. Some berries, some cream, kind of light, kind of muted, not heavy on the strawberry at all. Sort of generic berries, and a bit of cream. Not really buttercream frosting, not really a light, fluffy whipped cream. Just, you know, a little milky with a little bit of berry. So, kind of disappointed in that. I was looking forward to it. I was hoping that maybe would be a strawberry that I liked, but I don't think this is it. So, let's see. Okay, we're finally getting some good sunlight in here. Maybe this will be a little easier. Moving on to number, what was that, 10, 9, 8, number 7 on my list. We've got Watermelon Lemonade. Now, watermelon, we haven't seen a lot of watermelon since released wide with Bath & Body Works. They had a summer melon 1, 2, 3 years ago, I think it was, maybe in 2010. 2011 had nothing. 2012 had summer watermelon. This year we've got melon in the fresh picked collection, and then this is watermelon lemonade. So really nice image, mason jar with a tiny little slice of watermelon, a sprig of some sort of, I don't know if it's an herb or what, ice, and just a really light pink lemonade. The candle is just a bright, you know, sort of a bright pinkish, kind of like a Malibu Smash kind of, you know, melon scent. The notes on this one are: quench your thirst for long summer days with this refreshing mixture of watermelon ice, sparkling water, and freshly squeezed Meyer lemons. I like the idea of this. Watermelon ice, so it's not going to be necessarily the candy watermelon. Sparkling water might be an effervescent sort of scent to it, like we get in the Bellini candles. And freshly squeezed Meyer lemons. Meyer lemons tend to have a lower acid content and are a bit sweeter than standard lemons, so I was thinking like a really candy-sweet lemon. And they do well with lemonades. You know, certainly pomegranate lemonade was very, very popular scent, and nice, heavy with the citrus and the, you know, the lemonade drink side of things. So I have had high hopes for this one. To me, it's kind of very weak melon. There's almost a little, it's funny, before I noticed this little sprig of something in there, whether it's rosemary or thyme, I don't know exactly what, but before I noticed that, I actually, in my notes, I was thinking that it had a little bit of like an herbal scent to it, very light. But you've got melon that's just there in the background almost. It kind of has, if you remember from my earlier reviews, I did not like Poolside Cooler. I thought it just didn't really smell like anything other than like a waxy candy. And I get that with this as well. There's some sort of like light, generic, fruity kind of waxiness to this. Almost, you know what it actually reminds me of now that I'm thinking is, if you remember when you were a kid, there was actually a candy that was, it was like a white wax, it looked like they were tiny little things that came in like a pack of 6, little looked like a soda bottle, but they were tiny, and they were just wax, soft wax that was filled with essentially like almost like a Kool-Aid or something, just like a really light flavored sugar water, and you just sort of rip the wax off and you like suck the little, you know, teaspoon of flavored water out of there and maybe chew the wax or play with it and just threw it away. That's what this reminds me of. Because I'm getting like a waxy scent, which of course you figure, well, it's a candle, it's going to be waxy, but something off about that. Now, in doing this, in smelling this, I really wanted to get it right, so I'm comparing it to a couple of other things here. I'm comparing it to the new fresh picked melon and last year's summer watermelon. Now, these two, I think, are basically the same. The summer watermelon here, which had notes of kiwi and melon and watermelon, of course. This one had notes of kiwi, mint, and watery notes with watermelon. They're essentially the same, I believe. But then comparing those two to this, those are much more of a stronger watermelon, a true watermelon. Maybe the kiwi adds sweetness, but it's more of a candy-intense watermelon. This watermelon is there, but it's not heavy. It's, again, I'm getting like a waxy candy sort of watermelon. And yeah, there's something missing about this. I thought it would be really intense, and there's very little citrus, actually. There's watermelon, but I get almost no citrus. It's nothing like a pomegranate lemonade, which I didn't want, you know, a reformulation of that, but they've done very well with adding strong citrus to their drink collections. And for something called lemonade, there's none there. It's a little bit waxy, poolside cooler-ish, melon-ish scent. So that's really, unfortunately, I hate to be so negative, but a really big fail. Great label, great marketing, but no, not the good scent behind it. So, moving on. But we're going higher in the line, so things will get progressively better. I'm not going to be negative the whole video. Moving on to Summertime S'mores, which is interesting. Alright, let's get this out of the way here. Alright, so it's a dark, sort of charcoaly gray wax. And the image is just people making, roasted marshmallows, making s'mores over a fire. So we've had other scents. We've had s'mores, at this point 2 years ago, back in 2011, as a fall candle. Marshmallow Fireside, everyone's, standard great scent for the fall now. This one reads, all the sweetness of summer's best treat is captured in this blend of roasted marshmallow, crackling campfire, and rich, creamy vanilla. Now, smell that. That is very, 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 very close to the Marshmallow Fireside you know and love. Which is nice because it's a great scent. It's heavy, so for me, the Marshmallow Fireside has always been a sweet sort of fireside, so it was a really nice fall, sort of transitional from summer into fall, like a late summer, mid-fall, all the way until, October, November sort of scent for me. And this one, I'm going to compare them. I've got, the original Marshmallow Fireside here, which the notes on that one were simply toasted marshmallows, sweet vanilla cream, and smoldering woods, compared to, what do we have here? Roasted marshmallow, crackling campfire, and rich, creamy vanilla. So sort of the same thing reworded. Now when I compare the two, if I sniff the lids of each of them here, there might be just a tiny bit more of the fiery notes to Marshmallow Fireside. Summertime S'mores is a tiny bit, just the tiniest bit weaker. It's certainly nothing like, if you remember the s'mores, I have that here as well from 2011, this s'mores that was, the chocolatey, marshmallowy graham cracker. It's nothing like that. It's very much Marshmallow Fireside. I would say it's maybe a little bit more of the sweet vanilla, a tiny bit less fiery, but I mean, when I sniff them, s'mores versus, they're so incredibly similar. There's just a tiny bit more of a burnt, sort of where Marshmallow Fireside, I feel like you really do get the smoldering woods. This one's there's like a tiny little pop of, I don't know if it's more vanilla or almost like a kind of a citrus in there somewhere, maybe to brighten it for summer. But I mean, for most people who aren't, the true people who are obsessed like me and a lot of you folks out there, there's really not a big difference between these two. I can sense a small difference, but for most people, it's going to seem like the same candle. So, whether that's a good or bad thing, I'm not sure, but that's what that one is. And then moving on to Dockside, and so those are the first five. So again, the 10 through 5: Campfire Cookout, Wildflower Valley, Strawberry Picnic, Watermelon Lemonade, and Summertime S'mores. Okay, then we've got the top 5 here for me are all sort of what people say, for lack of a better term, cologne-y scents. The ones that are a little bit more, they're not trying to be, they're not trying to match a strawberry, they're not trying to match a drink or a food or any specific floral, they're just blends, more like a fragrant, cologne or perfume blend that's supposed to more evoke a mood or feeling. So I sort of tend to lean towards those sometimes, which is why they are my top 5. The first one here is, of course, Dockside. Well, not of course, it just is Dockside. Move it over here for a better glimpse here. So it's, again, really pretty pictures. It's just, a poolside or lakeside house. Here's the dock with the boats, kind of a little intense sort of dark green water there. And then just a tan candle. So a little, a little blah looking as far as the wax goes, but not a big deal. And the notes on it, an airy, crisp blend of fresh water, citrus zests, and aquatic flowers captures the fragrance of being dockside at a summer lake. All right, so what are we looking for again? We're looking for water, citrus, and flowers. Okay, so smelling this. It's very nice. It's fresh and light. It's a bit of a sweet floral. Whatever aquatic flowers, I have no clue what they're talking about there. It's kind of sweet. It does have a little bit of a powdery note to it. yeah, it's almost a little perfumey. It's not an herbal, it's not an astringent, it's not particularly watery or green even. With those notes, it does have, again, some sweetness, but definitely like almost a floral sweetness that they don't depict here in the image. And when I smell that, to me, it smells somewhat similar to maybe Sunrise Lagoon from last year, or also fairly similar to White Palm. Now, White Palm's notes were white palm leaves, dewy greens, and sweet peach blossoms. So if I sniff this one, it's not the same. It's definitely not the same, because there's not really the peach in Dockside, and I don't know. Yeah, the dewy greens. I really liked White Palm, but that also was kind of perfume cologne-y. I would say that Dockside is less sweet than White Palm, but they're definitely in the same family. Yeah. Yeah, there's, I'd say, a little bit less sweet, intensely sweet, and maybe a little more floral to it than White Palm, whereas White Palm has some greens to it, and the fruitiness from the peach blossoms, which, again, peach blossom is still a floral, fruity kind of scent. Yeah, this one is just a little less sweet and a little more floral from the water and the aquatic flowers, as I think they call it. Yeah, aquatic flowers. So I like that a lot. White Palm didn't come back this year, so it's sort of a good replacement in my book for that. So that is Dockside. Let's just readjust here a little bit, and I'll move the Strawberry Picnic away. The next one, my number 4 on my list, is what everyone knows, Mahogany Teakwood. This one has seen many iterations. It started as Indian Mahogany and Bergamot, then it came out as Mahogany and Bergamot, then it was Mahogany Leather, then it was Mahogany Teakwood, then it was Mahogany Teakwood as a repackage for the White Barn collection, and now it's a repackage in this summer collection. So it's interesting that they're kind of using it as a year-round scent. Everyone seems to love it. I think it was a slow start, but then with this past fall release, it really became very, very popular. I love how this looks. It's a very, it's a beautiful-looking boat with some sort of wood, I suppose maybe mahogany or something on the, the top there. And then the candle sort of matches that. Reminds me more of the original Mahogany Teakwood as opposed to the grayish, sort of creamy one from the past fall. The notes on this are similar to the last time we heard from it. The luxurious scents of fine woods, mahogany, cedarwood, and oak are enlightened by delicate lavender and geranium notes. Of course, as everyone knows, the wood notes are there the strongest. Maybe a little bit of lavender and geranium, nothing too much as far as the floral goes, definitely a masculine floral. Just a really interesting scent, nice scent. A lot of people say that it reminds them exactly of an Abercrombie scent. So I'm not familiar with any of their scents, but I know people have said it that I believe them, that it's basically a duplication of that, which, if that's the case, it's fine by me. I love it. I love the look of this. Not really a summer scent. It's more like, I suppose, a year-round scent, which is why it's, they've been selling it in their, seasonal collections, but I really love it. So that is a top 4. Moving on, top 3, number 3 of 10 here on the list, is Lakeside. Lakeside is just a white, creamy candle. Looks like a late afternoon, kids jumping in, obviously a lake, just sort of all tan colors, kind of washed out. Looks like an Instagram filter was put on the photo, and that's that. The notes on it are: jump into an invigorating blend of fresh water, sheer musk, and the perfect pop of citrus. Okay, so not a lot to go on if we're just telling us musk, musk, water, and citrus. Smelling this, it's very nice. It's got a little bit of green to it. The sheer musk, I suppose, is the fact that that's where it gets sort of the, cologne-y, perfumey scent from. But sheer musk meaning it's not heavy, it's not cloying, it's not going to give you a headache, or it's not really heavy in the front of the nose. It's there, but it's light. It's almost sandalwood breezy kind of for me. I would call it almost a very florally masculine scent. So it's got some of the masculinity of a cologne scent, but with definite florals in there. I would say this actually is, I think it's almost a duplicate of another scent that I loved from years past, that we don't know if it'll come back this year, which is Verbena Waters. It's not exact, but Verbena Waters, let me sniff that. I'm finally getting some good sunlight in here. So Verbena Waters, Lakeside. Lakeside is a little lighter. Verbena Waters is very intense with its sandalwood and its citrus and florals. But if you like Verbena Waters, you'll like Lakeside. They're quite similar. Lakeside just might be a little bit less intense with its citrus. Yeah, not as obvious. Notes on this one are a watery peach, citrus, verbena, and sandalwood. I definitely get a little bit more of that sheer musk that's in the Lakeside. And again, the watery note is the same between the two of them. And maybe not so much of the peach in this. So I'd say it's a little less fruity, less intense on the citrus. But it sort of hits the exact same, parts of my nose. So quite similar to Verbena Waters, but in a really great way. I love it. It's a definite number 3 for me. So, and compare Lakeside and Dockside, because I know it's kind of difficult. You hear those two and you're like, really what is the difference between Dockside and Lakeside? I would say that Dockside is a little bit sweeter, whereas Lakeside is a little more powdery. They're not exactly similar, even though the names are similar. They certainly could have names that are, quite different. They're not. It's not to say that they're again the same, or that I think one would go wide and one will not, or one would be testing. But that's what I get is that Dockside's just a little less powdery, less in the front of your nose, a little sweeter and more subdued, and perhaps a little green, more like with the watery, but both very nice. And then we move on to Forest Trail. Let me move these all around here so I can get to it without knocking it over, hopefully. I'm prone to dropping things. So Forest Trail kind of comes out of left field here. It's like I wouldn't even know what you'd call this. I suppose a light forest green, not an intense forest green, but kind of like a minty forest green. I don't know. And then it's just 2 Adirondack chairs sitting at the lake, looking to what looks to be pine trees off in the distance over the deep blue lake. And the notes on this one are: explore the lakeside woods with an aromatic blend of redwood trees, cedar leaves, eucalyptus, and a hint of wild berries. So a lot going on there. So redwood, cedar, eucalyptus, and the wild berries. Oh, I love it. It's definitely heavy on the pine. What pine do they say is in there? They say, I suppose, the redwood or cedar. I don't know what pine. There's definitely a pine in there. I don't know what exactly it is. When I smell this, instantly, there are actually almost 3 scents that it reminds me of off the top of my head. The first one, which a lot of people may not have smelled, was Peace from the Aromatherapy Home Collection, and that was a blend of balsam, amber, and cedar. So I suppose I'm getting a lot of the cedar in that one. And then it also seems very, very similar to Frosted Tree, which is, I think, from 2009 or 10, maybe 2010. Hasn't come back for a while. And the notes on that one were cedar, fir, golden amber, patchouli, and rosemary. It's like very, very close to that, but less kind of Christmassy. And then the last one that you're all familiar with is Sleigh Ride. It's got things in common with Sleigh Ride, but it's not a revamp of Sleigh Ride. But if you like Sleigh Ride, I think you'll like this. Sleigh Ride has more of the juniper, green noble fir, rosemary. I think maybe some patchouli or something as well. This one is saying, I'm getting the cedar very heavily, a little eucalyptus, not a lot of eucalyptus. And the berries, I don't think I'm getting berries. I think they threw that in because it's a summer candle and they didn't want people to be freaked out by it. But yeah, I'm getting an amazing pine without it being wintry, which is impressive. Sort of the sap or resin from the pine. The cedar is predominant, but definitely not overbearing. It's fresh woods. It's not a dark or dry heavy woods. A little bit of a fresh balsam sort of feel to it, but with more cedar chips and not a heaviness. It's mountainy and cool, but it's not wintry. It's more of a refreshing kind of cool scent, I think. That's how I describe that one. So very interesting, and I'm very happy with that one. I'll burn that and perhaps get a second or third of it as well. And then my number 1, Boathouse Row. I love everything about this candle. I think it's so interesting. I think it's a pretty candle, or it's just, I don't know. It to me it looks and smells indulgent. It's got a beautiful color. They're matching the candle colored wax to the color of the boathouse here. It's like a very dark, gosh, I don't even know what the color would be called. Like a very dark sort of evergreen, but a little more intense, sort of like a greenish magenta almost, with, some ores on there. Just really nice sort of art direction that they've gone here with the labels. I really love how that looks. The notes on it, more importantly, are the fragrance of deep blue water surrounded by notes of moss, sage, and bay leaves captures the essence of a lakeside adventure. So for me, this ties up the entire collection. This is what the collection is for me. A watery note. You've got the herbal, sage, and bay leaves, which I love. Moss, which is showing up in more of their candles, and I really enjoy that. And it, again, captures an essence. That's what this candle's trying to do. And it does smell like a cologne. I would probably wear this, actually, or I think I have worn this. I'll get more into that in a second, but it is cologne. But the thing is that bothers me a little bit is that people often describe scents that they don't like as cologne-y, or something that they think is just intense or cheap, or if they can't describe the notes, they'll just say, oh, it's cologne-y. But that doesn't really describe a note. There are millions of blends of colognes and perfumes and scents, so to call something cologne is kind of just cheap, I think. You really have to get into describing the notes. And to me, it's cologne, but in a very good way. It gives Mahogany Teakwood a run for its money as far as my favorite sort of Bath & Body Works candle in that sort of family of things. And actually, I was smelling it, I was like, it smelled familiar, and I couldn't figure out why. And actually, it reminded me very closely of a cologne that I've worn before, which was, it was by Burberry, and it's called London for Men. So London for Men by Burberry. And it's funny, I looked up the notes on that. I smelled it, because I had some left in my bottle, and it smelled quite similar to this, but of course not a direct match. And it's funny because the notes on that fragrance are lavender, bergamot, cinnamon, leather, and oak moss. So it's funny because in this I definitely do smell sort of, you've got that fragrant blend of sort of sweetness to it, a little bit like a lavender and bergamot in there. Certainly a leathery note, not a woodsy note or like a cedar wood or anything like that, but or too earthy. But sort of definitely like that leathery, like that fresh sort of leathery scent that you'd get, like a raw leather scent. And then the oak moss, it's funny because in here they do say the notes of moss. So I think I'm on to something with that the similarities were definitely there between the two of them. But this definitely has more of citrus. It's warm. It's a little spicy, but it's not woody at all. And I almost get a little sort of like lemon peppery. Like, a lot of people use lemon pepper to season fish and things like that. I almost get a little bit of like a lemon peppery. So yeah, it's a little spicy, a little sweet, but like a tiny bit herbal, with the sage and the moss. I just love it. I think it looks nice. It just smells and looks, I feel like, indulgent, but in a really good way. So I love that one. I'm definitely getting another one of them, and I can't imagine that wouldn't go wide. And I would think and hope that if people love Mahogany Teakwood, I think they should love Boathouse Row as well. I know that some people probably lean towards Mahogany Teakwood because it reminds them of the Abercrombie cologne, but if you like that, certainly give Boathouse Row a try as well, even if it's not, a scent from wherever, from Abercrombie. It's still worthy of getting a great sniff. So overall, I really like this collection. I think they did great stuff with it. I'm going on almost 35 minutes here. I told myself I would try to keep it to about 3 minutes per candle, so I think I did pretty close to that. But again, just a quick overview. The Lakeside collection, currently in test stores, hopefully will release wide. If anything, I would guess, if they do it the way they've done in past years, probably something like April or maybe even May. They tested last year's Boardwalk collection in early March, and it came out around, I think, a full launch around Memorial Day. Maybe a bit earlier than that. But so you're looking at usually 2 to 3 months from test to release generally. So again, that is certainly subject to change, but that's what I've seen in the past. So a quick run through again, from my least favorite to most favorite is how we did this, but I'll go backwards now. So from favorite to least: Boathouse Row, Forest Trail, Lakeside, Mahogany Teakwood, Dockside, Summer S'mores, Watermelon Lemonade, Strawberry Picnic, Wildflower Valley, and Campfire Cookout. So that I don't run into a crazy long video here, I didn't want to, again, get super crazy in depth with these, but certainly I do think I might do a few other videos on some of my favorites once I burn them, just to really try to get in depth with them, or maybe a better comparison of some of the, Lakeside versus Dockside or things like that. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. I hope that the comparison to older candles helped you when I'm trying to really try to get the smell-o-vision through the computer there or phone while you're watching the video. And again, any questions, hit me up, and until next time, thanks for watching.